So hello everyone, welcome back to all you board regulatory bodies. And as you know that RBI Grade B 2024 exam detailed notification is out. We all know that now we are having less than 50 days in our hand for preparation, and even the registrations for RBI Grade B 2024 exam have started. So with registrations also going at the same time, students also running after preparation strategy plan, we need to also discuss the detailed notification and also understand what are the information as well as the underlying things in this detailed notification. And today we will have Mr. Anil sir with us. As you all know, he is All India Rank 1 RBI Grade B exam 2018, and he is our super mentor with all you board regulatory bodies. So Anil sir, welcome to you. I know that you also would be knowing that RBI Grade B notification is out. The real fever of exam had started. So as we will be discussing about this notification, so I'll just start that we will try to discuss some of the facts as well as some things which even students are concerned with, which students also provided some of the doubts to us. So the I will directly come to one important issue which has been there for this year in regulatory bodies, especially in RBI exam. And the all talks are about vacancies. Lesser vacancies this year. Sir, my chances of clearing are very less. Should I give RBI grade B this time? Or should I start my preparation for 2025? So, sir, is essentially vacancies that important? Or is it just one of the factor which impacts the cutoff? Should students worry for their selection related to vacancies? Sir, what is your opinion in this case when an ideal candidate is preparing for RBI grade B exam?
Hi, Suraj. Thank you for having me on this again. And I understand that we've been speaking about the importance of the examination, but now that the notification is out, the dates are in, right? There's obviously sense of urgency for this, right? And yes, I think even when I saw this notification, I was surprised at the number of vacancies because that there was a particular trend that we had observed over last few years, which does not hold true this year, right? Having said that, I think fundamentally we are not in the business of speculation, whether it's
Yes.
us as mentors, whether it's the candidates who are aspiring to become grade B officers. What is in our hands is something that we can control, and um, it's not again, it's not that the chances have dimmed significantly, right? If you look at this examination to start off itself, obviously we all understand that it's competitive, right? The nature itself is quite competitive, and no matter what if you just look at pure mathematical odds that are still going to be low, right? In some sense, I think personally it makes my if I were a aspirant, then I think it makes my cause or my motivation only stronger, right? To clear or to give a sincere attempt this year and not wait for next year. um, I think I mentioned that earlier, but I would want to repeat it that again, the we don't decide the number of vacancies. By waiting for another year, it's not going to improve the outcome much, right? Um, so what I want, students to focus on is the time that they have on their hands, right? We have roughly about 45 days before phase one, and luckily this time there is significant gap between phase one and phase two, which again would not have been the case in previous years. So I just want students to focus on what's in front of them and look at what's in their hands rather than think about something that's beyond their means or beyond something that they can control.
Yes, sir. Like exactly you said, very right thing. I also personally feel that vacancies, yes, everybody would be disheartened with less number of vacancies, but difficulty of exam, how much students are writing the exams this year, all these things also are responsible for your selection. And more importantly, as you said, if a student is like individually thinking about his own seat, then I think this time a great opportunity is there that between phase one and phase two, as you rightly said, there is a good amount of time which students are having, which it was not there previously. So very rightly said, I think vacancy is not the issue. Time management and strategy, that should be the real questions to be answered. uh, the next thing, sir, I'll come to is the basic thing when we read the detailed notification, that is eligibility criteria. And for eligibility criteria, there are two subsets, that is, one is age factor and second is educational background. So when academic background is concerned, does it really matter that for some background there is an edge, or for some background there are higher chances of selection? So more specifically, what should be the mindset of a candidate when it comes to his educational background while applying for RBI grade B exam?
That's an important question, and that's something that obviously students have on their minds, right, when they decide to prepare for the exam and appear for the examination. But given that this is a general recruitment, the RBI obviously tries to make it a level playing field, right? Now, whatever inherent advantage somebody may have, so if you have somebody who's, let's say, a science student, right, and predominantly you would think that at least phase one, the aptitude portion would be easier for them, and what they may not be exposed to or aware of is the phase two, which is related to economic issues, social issues, and so on, right? But in the same vein, now if you look at somebody who's done commerce, they may have some advantage when it comes to some of these topics. But what I want students to think about is the fact that this is a competitive exam, right? Which means that no matter what you have studied in the past, right, there is a certain orientation in terms of mindset that you require in order to prepare for this examination, right? And there are obviously different aspects of it. How do I prepare for MCQs or objective portion? How do I prepare for descriptive portion? I also hear this, right? That there are students who've done MBA. Okay, that means I can do management, I can do finance. Not necessarily, right? If you look at MBA curriculum, the syllabus would probably be the same. The way it's taught, the way students are evaluated, what they are tested upon during college is probably not the same way that RBI will test them, right? So I want everybody to keep this in mind, that no matter what you have studied, you have equal opportunities. Of course, if you have some exposure to certain topics or subjects, that will help you. But do not, get into that mode of being complacent that I already know this, right? What do I mean by that? Nobody, is perfect, right? And how do I become better? I become better by practicing, by revising, by taking mock tests, and by seeking help of mentors who have already done that and who can guide me on how to make my preparation more efficient and more effective.
Correct, sir. Sir, one more small question I'll ask, which is related to age. So, as we know that the age is between 21 and 30 years old, it means that even certain students who are just passed out, that is freshers, they can also apply for RBI grade B exam. What should be the essential strategy if such a fresher and a very young aspirant is writing RBI grade B exam? What should be his mindset? Where we all know that there are various students from different ages, 25, 28, even students who are 29, 30 years old also apply for this exam. So what should be the mindset when competition is considered, when a fresh young student is looking at it?
Yeah, again, this is a good point, right? When you look at somebody who's just finished college and wants to prepare for this examination, they perhaps don't have the same kind of baggage that others may have, right?
Correct.
Who would have appeared for some of these exams earlier, and then, right? Obviously, with age, we also have some preconceived notions, right? So I think having that clarity at a young age will help, right? And I think at a young age, you also have better absorption in terms of material, right? For those students, my recommendation or my prescription would be that they focus on getting the fundamentals right. In the sense that if you are, again, if you are working, and we get a lot of candidates who are working in banks and all of that, right? They have some familiarity with the subject, but they may not be equally sound in the theoretical aspects or in the fundamentals, right? But if you are young and you're fresh out of college, you have time, then one thing that will help you not just for this exam, but in general in your career, is to grasp the fundamentals well and understand them thoroughly, so that no matter what you do, this becomes the base. Right? Even if you choose to work somewhere and then appear for the exam a couple of years later, this grounding will help you in all your subsequent attempts as well.
Sir, then when we are talking about the overall exam pattern, and we know that RBI Grade B exam has finance, management, economic and social issues like subjects. So many of the students also feel who are giving the exam that commerce or finance background will give edge to students. So now even when considered, these commerce and finance background students, do they really have edge when even the vacancies are less? What do you think from this point of view?
The way I think about it is it's less to do with number of vacancies, right? And even if you look at the trend historically, even say 3 years ago when RBI started this change in shift in pattern of introducing say descriptive questions, one thing that we've observed is the questions are by and large more broad in nature or more generic in nature, right? So there is no distinct advantage that a particular student who's had some familiarity with the topic will get. It's something that, as I said, right, let's look at it in terms of what is this process meant to do, right? Process is meant to examine, evaluate how you understand topics that are important to the nature of the work that you are going to do, how well you can present them, right? And there is obviously that's why you have an objective right pattern, you have a descriptive pattern, both test different dimensions of this, right? In terms of knowledge, in terms of presentation, and then obviously you have interview where again how well you can respond certain right instances of whether it's stress, pressure, or how you can spontaneously think. So all this is done in a manner. So we should also acknowledge the fact that this is a process that's in a way standardized, right? And that's happening for decades, right? So there is obviously, and wherever there is that feedback in the sense that, okay, if we've made certain changes and we feel that it's not giving us the desired outcomes, there also change to an extent that we want to get the, best suited, right, candidates for this job. So in this, right, specifically when I look at, say, whether it's the objective questions, whether it's the subjective questions, I don't think, say, students from commerce background have a distinct advantage. As I said, right, if you just look at the subjective questions and matters more than the objective portion, right? Because there the scope for variation in marks is much higher. And I find that there is actually what I spoke earlier about, right? About that level playing field that comes out when you look at the type of questions, right? In fact, that means that even somebody who's not done their graduation or post graduation in that field can write well articulated answers to these questions.
Correct. Sir, when it comes to serious candidates, so as only 50 days are left with us, so which overall preparation strategy they should follow, how they can cover their syllabus, and now how integratedly they can prepare for phase 1 and phase 2, and from when specifically they should start preparing exclusively for phase 1. Can you shed some light on the overall strategy for the 50 days?
Sure. Um, no, I think it's important, right? We discussed at the beginning that time management is going to be critical from here on, right? The rough sketch that I have in my mind is before you go for phase one, if you are able to complete at least one of either management or finance, that will help you a lot for your phase two, static portion, because these are two subjects which have a lot of static portion. ESI doesn't necessarily have a lot of static portion. It's probably something that you can do between phase one and phase two. But ideally, if you are able to complete one of them, I think you are in a good standing, right? At least 30 days before phase one is when probably you should completely focus on phase one, right? Usually, what we recommend is you take about 8 full length mock tests before you go for phase one. So starting now, you should probably take one every week for the next 3 weeks, and then in the next 3 weeks, you should probably take two per week, right? And then do not take a test 1 week, at least a week before the final one, right? Complete all your tests because you don't want to have that, mental baggage before just 2, 3 days before you go for the exam and anything that translates from your final performance. So you're able to think and analyze all your tests with a calm mind, and you're able to revise and you go for the phase one examination with that composure, right? I've seen that if obviously taking tests is important, but it's also about timing them, right? It's not just about taking tests. Every test that you take has to be followed by equal amount of effort in analyzing it, so you understand what is working, what's not working, and how you can improve, right? The biggest advantage of just doing this mock test is the fact that you are able to become better at your time management and your decision making, right? That's the way I look at it. And obviously, given that this year we have 6 weeks between phase one and phase two, if even if you have some static portion, you should probably complete it in 2.5 weeks. Now, if you just look at the syllabus, it's going to be quite vast, and then obviously RBI also recommends that there are some textbooks that you can go through it. But remember one thing, that we are here not to do PhDs or not to get degrees in these subjects. We are here to clear the examination, and we are here to succeed in the examination, right? So that is where Olive Board can be of immense help, right? Instead of going through a 500-page textbook, might as well look at Olive Board notes, which are comprehensive, and that will give you sufficient material in order to write good answers in the subjective portion, and obviously give you enough understanding of the terms of the concepts for your objective portion as well.
Yes, sir. In the notification, every time RBI also recommends various reference books. So in this time's notification also, for ESI, finance, management, RBI has given a book list of reference from which you can prepare. So is it possible to cover these books now? And is it really necessary to cover this book? And if not, then what should be the ideal resources in this last days of preparation? And overall, how should we prepare? And overall, if we are trying to complete the overall syllabus, then through these specific sources, how should we do it for this year?
Yeah, that's an important question again, because we have only say 7 weeks before phase one, and then there's a gap of 6 weeks between phase one and phase two. Now, it's next to impossible to comprehensively go through the topics in terms of which books by the RBI, right? Because these are quite extensive in nature. And then what will also happen is when you read all this, it becomes difficult to retain. What do students need at this point? Students need material that is tailored, right? That is specific to the examination. One, that's concise, that's easily understandable, right? So they can complete the syllabus in far lesser time than what it would require, right? So one, obviously, as I said, it's next to impossible to do it, say, whether it's 50 days, whether even it's 100 days, right? Second, on the importance of actually referring to some of these sources, right? As I said, there is a sense of, like, students who've done economics will understand that, right? Law of diminishing marginal utility that will kick in, right? When you go through some of these, and in terms of effort to reward ratio, if that's a metric that you want to, you have finite amount of hours, right? You can probably spend say 6 hours a day or something like that, right? So 6 hours a day spending on this versus say Olive Board material, the reward is obviously going to be much higher, right? One thing I want students to acknowledge is the fact that because it's a general recruitment and you have students from all backgrounds, right? The examiner also has the same intent, right? So there will obviously be an effort. The nature of the job will require that you have some understanding, but it's not necessary that you have a complete understanding of all the topics that are mentioned in the notification.
Yes. Okay, sir. That was like really like great insight which you gave. As so much less days are there, it is actually logical to find right sources through which you are able to cover the syllabus also, revise it better, and be ready for the examination. The next thing which we are going to talk about is that in the detailed notification, there are also certain things where students are more attracted to, such as maybe the overall the remuneration or salary which is given. But the real driving factor, we all know, it's more importantly the responsibility, or even to be precise, the job profile of RBI grade B officer. So can you share some of the points to let students understand the job profile of RBI grade B officers?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest motivation factors, right? When you look at why somebody would want to appear for this examination, make a career in the RBI. The the biggest driver in this is the ability to draft, right? Implement policies which can change the economic and financial nature of the country, right? And that stems from, just like we had this budget announcement a few days back, right? And then we realized that every year the government consciously tries to provide certain amount or like schemes, announce certain schemes for certain sections of the society. Right now, given where we are as a developing country with a young population, and of course with a complex financial system, it becomes important to have a watchdog, right? Somebody who is ensuring that there is systemic and orderly growth, and the risks that are obviously there in this sort of activity, they are being contained, right? So you need to have some amount of risk taking ability, but it should not be without those guardrails, right? This is what somebody who's entering the RBI will do over about 30-35 years in their career, right? In the sense that what they should look forward to is the fact that how do I improve the life of the common man in their, right, in the economic and financial sphere. Let me give you an example. Today, we all are proud of the fact that UPI, instant payments, now that's something that enables financial inclusion, that enables convenience, right? How are all these coming into the mainstream without RBI taking initiative to set up NPCI, then to promote, right, uh, the technology, the infrastructure, the process, and the required support from all stakeholders, right? So this is just one that obviously appears in a larger sense where their attention, but there is similarly a lot of work that happens in the background in order to support various measures, whether it's by the government, whether it's by the private sector, public sector, right? In order to ensure that, one, as I said, we have economic growth that doesn't come at high inflation. The currency management is done in a manner that doesn't impact in a detrimental way the common person. And then at the end of the day, you are able to see that we've not had, so the single biggest success, right? Let's look at it this way. Uh, we keep hearing a lot about bank failures in major countries. The RBI and the government, right, both together have not allowed a single commercial bank to fail post independence, right? So that systemic stability is predominant in terms of the functioning of the RBI.
Yes, sir. Very well said. Sir, here we come to the end of the session, as I think before moving to the last question, which is, of course, this would be your golden advice for all the student. And I think all the students should be waiting for this, because every webinar also, which we take for our personalized mentorship program, as well as in these particular special sessions on YouTube, many of the students are always waiting for your guidance specifically. But before that, yes, the detailed notification is with you for all the students who have not still registered or filled the notification, applied the application for RBI Grade B exam 2024. Read all the details, have all the documents before filling the form. Don't do any mistakes. There is really ample time with us, so use it properly and apply it very quickly, so that you also get proper cities which you are going to choose for your phase 1 exam. So with that, the last question comes up. Sir, any advice for all the students who are preparing for RBI Grade B exam this year? it may be from strategy point of view, or even as their overall journey for this year's RBI Grade B exam as it has really started?
Yeah, two things I think which will help students a lot, and this is also from my personal experience. Generally, these exams, the way I think about it, is the three components of our preparation, right? There is time for study, which is for acquiring knowledge, because obviously a lot of this information will be new to us. Then it's also important to understand and retain that information. So revision becomes the second component. And third component becomes practice or taking mock tests, right? Lot of us usually spend more time on the first aspect, not on the second and third. Given that we are approaching the examination, you cannot postpone 2 and 3, right? It's time to start focusing on 2 and 3. In terms of full length mock test, obviously, I've told you what you need to do before you go for phase one. But again, the level of practice and revision that you do will help you in achieving your goals, whether it's for phase one or phase two, right? So please remember that 2 and 3 are more important than one. And one is where obviously you have that law of diminishing marginal utility. Do not worry about sources, right? You have people who are experts who have done this for years together, and they are guiding you and they're telling you this is what you need to do. So have faith in them. Try to limit all your sources to just one, right? Which ideally should be Olive Board, and continue with that, right? At this stage, do not try to introduce new sources, new components in your preparation. Try to do radically different from what you've done earlier. Continue at the same pace, but focus more on analyzing your performance in mock tests, in revising, so that your hold on whether it's current affairs, whether it's on economic issues, all that gets better, right? Remember that these exams usually test more on breadth rather than depth. So it's important to revise frequently, right? At least for current affairs, and I would suggest that you do on a daily basis till the end of phase two. So this is more on the tactical part of it. On the strategic part of it, what I would like to say is it's important to have a clear mind space, right? One thing is it always starts with us in terms of the belief that we have that we have the aptitude, we have the necessary, say, grit or determination to uh, appear in a sincere manner. These are two factors that have to come from within, right? No matter how much somebody on the outside can tell you need to have that confidence that I can work hard, I can work smart, and obviously I can grasp things. I will do things in a systematic manner that will help me clear the examination. So try to cut down noise as much as you can, right? Especially where, unfortunately, we are also looking at, questions being raised about many competitive exams and the integrity, their nature of it, and all of it. Uh, for a serious aspirant, I think it's more of a distraction. What somebody needs to focus on is what's in their control. And that's the, preparation aspect of it. We know the syllabus, we know what to do with it, right? There could be some amount of, obviously, that, say, anticipation or anxiety about how cutoffs would be this year and all of those things, right? I don't want students to get into the same mindset and constantly worry about those things. What you should gauge is from your first mock test that you take and then onwards, how well are you able to improve, right? And for phase one, we have only two objectives. We need to clear the sectional cutoffs, which are going to be maximum of 7.5, 7.5, 15, and 20. We need to clear overall cutoff, which could be about 1.5 to 2 times of the sectional cutoffs. So always have these as your benchmarks and only measure against them.
Correct. Sir, absolutely. You have really guided students very well. And thank you for being there today, so that really there were so much of doubts as well as various queries which came related to notification also. And I think this session will solve all those doubts also, and at the same time give enough confidence to the student so that they can start their preparation as fast as possible and as concrete as possible. Thank you very much, sir, for being there today, and we'll end this session here, and we will bring more such sessions to you guys, as yes, we will try our best to give value oriented content for all the students who are preparing for RBI Grade B exam phase 1 as well as phase 2 this year. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Suraj. All the best to everyone who's appearing in this year's exam.
Thank you, sir.